Hi, I'm Chris Ketke. I'd like to give you some tips for how to remove the skin from a fillet of fish. Before we actually get to the skin part of this fillet, what you do want to check is to see if there are any pin bones in the fillet. Now, what that means is there are little tiny bones that are right along sort of the top of the salmon here. And they're tiny bones that go straight down into the fillet. To know if they're still in there or not, what you do is you put your finger right at the end of the fillet, right where the head would be, and we're going to drag our finger, pressing on the salmon a little bit, drag the finger back until about there. Now, if there were pin bones, well, you would feel them as you go back. And then what you do is you grab a little pair of fine-nosed pliers and you just grab those pin bones and pull them out. Now, this fillet was properly pin boned, so we're ready to move on to removing the skin. To do this, you're going to need a long knife, a long, sharp, thin knife preferably. And one little trick is to position the salmon very close to you, to the edge of the cutting board. Because what we're going to do is as we cut, our hand is going to actually go below the cutting board a little bit, which is why you want to position it close to you. Now, here's the technique. What I'm going to do is cut right at the tail here, but not at the very end. I'm just going to go maybe a ½ inch from the end of the tail, and I'm going to sort of cut straight down until I am hitting the skin. And at that point, what I'm going to do is take the knife and then turn the knife just like this. So here we go, ready? So getting down there, and then I turn the knife. Now, at this point, I'm going to hold on to the skin. My knife is pretty much flat on the cutting board. I'm pressing down with the knife while I'm sawing, and at the same time, I'm holding on to that skin very tightly over here, like so, and I can just remove the skin from the salmon. Let's just check the other side and be sure we have all the skin off. There's a little piece on the end there they still would like to remove. Now, there's nothing wrong with cooking the salmon just like this. One thing that you can do to sort of take that extra little step if you want to is to flip this over, and you can remove some of this gray colored flesh with a sharp knife. Again, it's something that you don't have to do, but what it does do is it gives you a fillet that's much prettier when you're done, especially with something like salmon where you want to see that color of the fillet. Now, to do this, if you notice along the center here, you kind of cut a V. So I'm going to cut straight down and then cut straight up and remove a little V from that salmon in the center. And then this part here is literally, I'm just going to shave the surface of the salmon like so. Now, this takes a little bit of practice. So if the first time you try this and you're not getting the results you want, don't worry about it. All good things come with a little bit of practice. When that's done, I would just flip the fillet around and do the same thing on the other side. And you can see how pretty that salmon is once you remove this part of the meat. Now again, remember, there's no reason, I mean, if you don't want to, you don't have to remove this. It's perfectly edible. And there we go. Great. This fillet is now ready to cook. You can also, if you want, you can cut it into portions. Like so. And there we go. Now, before putting it on the grill, you might just want to give them a quick little rinse just to be sure you have none of the scales attached to the salmon. Go ahead and season it then, put a little oil on the outside, and it's ready to go onto a hot grill. For more great grilling tips, go to betterbarbecueblog.com.